Welcome back guys to another tutorial. In this one I'll be showing you how to make a cam collar with a piping, that is a piped cam collar. You know, some of these shirts you see with a cam collar that has this piping with matching colors. I'm going to show you how to make it, so let's get started. Now I folded my material fabric into two, and this is for the front, sorry, for the back. We'll be cutting the back first and then we'll use the back to cut the front, right? So here I'm just creating my starting point line, rolling it. That would be my neckline, right? So from there I'm going to get the length of my shirt. So I'm making a box crop top, right? So if you want yours to be longer, depending on the type of shirt you're making, so take the length of your shirt and then remember to add your seam allowance and then mark. So that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to mark out the length of my shirt, and then I'll roll it. Then I'll get my shoulder, the half of my shoulder I'm working with is so I marked the half of my shoulder. From there I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then from my shoulder slope I marked my bust or chest line of 8 inches. Then what I'm doing is just bringing down what I have on my shoulder on my chest line, so it enables me create a straight line for my armhole curve. So the next thing is to mark my neck. I'm doing a neck width of 3 inches because this person's shoulder is broad. So neck width of 3 inches. Then for the back, neck depth of half inch. Yeah, half inch, because I want the collar to really hug me at the back. So I'll just connect my neck width to my shoulder slope like so. And remember to add half inch seam allowance on your shoulder like I am doing. Then what I will do now is to impute my bust circumference of my chest line. So quarter of your bust plus 1 inch seam allowance and 1 inch ease allowance. So you can add 1 inch ease allowance or 1.5 inch ease allowance depending on how big you want your shirt. And then whatever I have on my chest line, I'm just going to bring it down to the hem of my shirt, because it's a shirt, of course it's going to be free, it's not fitted. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and cut this off. That is all for the cutting of the back. Now I'm going to use this exact pattern to cut the front. So I'll fold another fabric into two, and then I'm going to place it on top of it, and I've done that already. And know that on the folded area I didn't fold it exactly the same way, so I left about 1.5 inch for the front, and now this 1.5 inch will serve as my button allowance and seam allowance. So 1 inch for button allowance and half inch for seam allowance. That is why I have 1.5 inch on there. So leave that space. All right, so they have inches for the seam allowance I'll be using to, you know, join our facing after we must have attached the piping with this bias. Okay, so use the matching color of bias. We'll be using bias for the piping. Use the matching color for the fabric you're working with. And yeah, that's the only difference with the front and the back. And then the neck depth. So for the front, the neck depth, I'll be working with 3 inches for the neck depth for the front. So I just took away half inch that I used for the back, and then I marked my 3 inches. So I'll mark my shoulder, my neck width. I'll just connect it to the 3 inches. on there. So that's basically the difference between the front and the back. The allowance you would have at the center front, the 1.5 inch allowance, and then the neck depth. So I'll just slash open the center front because it's supposed to be 2 because of the button, and then just trace out my neck and then the shoulder and then the armhole, and that is all. We have the front and the back. Now let's work on sewing this up and doing all the piping. Now first I'm going to mark ½ inch. Remember I said ½ inch is for seam allowance for the front. I mark ½ inch there that I'll later join. So from that ½ inch that I marked, I'm going to come in by 1.5. So watch what I'm doing. I'm doing these markings so that it will be easy for you to understand what we are doing. Mark 1.5 inch and then notch. So this notching I'm making is to indicate that this is where my collar is going to start from. So this is how the lapel would be, right? And then the collar will start from that notch. Okay, that is why I have that notch. So I am going to cut a facing for the front because of course it's going to have a facing. So I'll just place the front on a piece of fabric and then I'll trace out the neck area first and a bit of the shoulder area. And then I'll take off my bodies, and then from the center part, that is, yeah, from the center of it, I'll mark 4.5 inches in. So that will be the width of my facing. Just mark 4.5 inch from your hemline to the top of the piece that you'll be using for your facing. Just connect it like so and then cut it off. So you have 2 of these, okay, for the 2 parts of the bodies. So I'll cut this out and then I'll use it to cut another piece to make it so guys, if you're watching up to this point, please hit on the like button, subscribe to my channel, it's free. Please share this video and also drop your comments. It goes a long way so that more people can see this video. Thank you. So I just flipped this into the right side to face the right side of the other one I'm cutting, so that I don't cut one of 2 things or 2 of one particular thing. I hope you understand. So I'm just tracing it out so that I'll have 2 pieces of the facing. Now I have 2, and this is my facing, and this is how we'll be doing it. So we'll fix the bias, and then we'll now use this to turn the center front by ½ inch. Remember the ½ inch we added, and then we will have 1 inch left for our button allowance. Okay, so for this bias I'm working with, I'm going to iron this bias into 2. So what I'll do is I'll open up my bias like this, and then I'll fold it into 2 and then iron it flat so that it's now into 2. Okay, so I'll do just that, and then I'll show you the next thing to do. So I've ironed my bias into 2. I ironed as much as I think I'll need, so this is into 2 now. So what I'll do now is on my center front, 1 piece, let's work with 1 piece. On my center front, I am going to place my bias on the edge, but I'm not placing directly on the edge. I'm going to place it 1/4 of an inch in, side, and remember the part that is open is also facing the edge. Okay, the part that is open is facing the edge that's folded into two. So I'll place it like this, 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to sew at the center of the bias. Okay, so exactly at the center of the bias, that is after placing 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric, you take to your machine and sew at the center of your bias. If you want to use the pin to hold it so that your measurement is accurate, that will be fine. So I've done just that. As you can see that the open part is facing the edge of your fabric and the folded part is facing inwards. I cut off the down part, and can you see what it looks like? So what I'll do next is to place my facing on top of it, make sure that it's front facing front and it's matching. Then I'll flip this to the back so that I'll be seeing my my seam. So you will sew exactly on top of the seam. That is to say that you're using the seam as a guideline. Okay, so sew exactly on top of this seam. As you can see, it's exactly 1/2 inch that we put for our allowance, so you sew exactly on it, which I've already done. I sewed exactly on it, so you take your time to do this so that everything is just accurate. Okay, cut off whatever excess you have, and then by the time I flip it to the right side, so you can see my little piping is showing. Okay, I know it's brown in color, so I know the contrast isn't so much on camera, but you can actually see it showing, right? So this is what it will look like. That is how you do your piping for the button area. Okay, so I'll do the same thing for the other side, and then when I'm done with both of them, this is what I would have. So when it overlaps for the button allowance, right, like this, the lapel will be formed, and then remember the notch you made, that is where the collar is now going to start from. So let's work with the collar. That is the next thing. Let's cut a collar, and then we'll fix it to the shirt. Okay, but first I'm going to join the shoulders because we need to measure what we have. So I'll join the shoulders, then once I join it, I'll measure my collar. So the measurement is starting from one side of the notch to the other side. Remember I said that is where the collar will start from one notch to the other. So measure your collar round, and whatever measurement you have, that is what you use to cut your collar. So I'm measuring, and I'll stop at the next notch that I have on there. Can you see? And what I have is exactly 17.5, which is 17.5 inches. So now I'm going to cut my collar. I'm putting my fabric into two, and then I'm just tracing out my starting point. Now I have a very detailed tutorial on a camp collar without the piping. Very, very detailed and easy. It's basically the same thing as this. It's just that this one was piped. So if you want to watch it, please, I'm going to leave the link somewhere here. Please go and watch it. Okay, so I'm marking what I have, the half of my shoulder, and I added 1/2 inch seam allowance. That is basically what I did here. Half of my collar rather, and then what next I did is to get the half of what I have on there, just to create a slant for our collar. So the height of my collar is 4 inches. Then on here I marked 1/2 inch upward and collected it to the midpoint that I have, so that I'll just, you know, make a little slant and then continue to mark the 4 inches length or height of collar that I want. And this includes seam allowance. Okay, the 4 inches includes seam allowance. So I'm just connecting it like this, and then I'll cut this out. This is what we would have as our collar, and then I'll use this to cut another one because it's supposed to be 2-piece. So like I said, I have a detailed tutorial on camp collar where I also showed you how to cut the collar very, very calmly and easy. So please, if you need to watch it, please go and watch it. The link would be here or in the description box. Okay, so we have our cam collar, and here is the part we'll be fixing to the neckline. So I will notch the middle part. Okay, so this is what we have. Now we'll also pipe this collar. So I'll get my bias, and then I'm going to get on one piece, put your bias at the edge, but not exactly at the edge. Just do the same thing we did for the body. So you place it 1/4 of an inch before the edge, and then sew the middle or the midpoint of the bias. Okay, now you're not sewing on the part you join to the round neck. You're just going to pipe it like this until you get to this other end. Okay, and then you stop. So I'll take my machine and do all the sewing, and when I am done, this is what I'll have. Now I'll place the other piece of the collar on top of it, flip it to the other side where my seam is showing, and then I'm going to use that seam, the seam line as a guide. Now I'm not sewing exactly on till the end. I'll leave about 1/2 of an inch. As you can see, I left 1/2 of an inch on the open part of both sides. Okay, that's because it's going to enable me to attach this to my bodice. I flipped it. I'm going to iron it, and as you can see, like I said, I left about 1/2 inch on this part. Okay, I didn't sew it to the end. That will be it to enable me, it to be easy for me to fix it to the neckline. All right, so do the same thing when you're turning your collar. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my shirt, and I'm going to flip it to the wrong side like this and sew that side with 1/4 of an inch and stop where my notch stopped. So sew it and stop where your notch stopped. I'll do the same thing for the other side. So whatever you're doing on one side, do it for the next side. I've done that on both sides, and I'm going to now get my collar. I trimmed out this pointy part so that it's easy for me. It's easy for me for when I turn it to the right side. So get your collar, and I am going to match the notch, that is the notch on my collar and the notch on my shirt. So I'm placing one piece of the shirt on the front part of my shirt and notch the collar, and then on this side, like I said, I opened it up. That's why I said you should leave that 1/2 inch. Open it up like this, and then you place it inside and just sandwich it. As you can see, just watch what I'm doing. Okay, sandwich it and cover it up and hold it with a pin. I'll do the same thing for this side so you understand better. So put your collar, open this part up, open your collar, and then put it in here, and then you're just going to, that's why I said you should leave that 1/2 inch so that it's easier for you to do this. Sandwich it and cover it up and hold it with a pin. So basically what we are doing is we're trying to continue the sewing. So from there where your notch stopped, where you stopped your sewing, where your notch is rather, just continue sewing until you get to the other parts. Okay, remember to continue to sew, which I've already done, and I maintained that 1/4 of an inch. As you can see, I just continued sewing until I got to the other part. And if you cut your collar correctly, everything is going to align or match. Okay, so once I'm done with that, what I'll do next is to flip it flip this part to the right side, that is your facing. Flip it to the right side, and then I'm going to now finish up the other piece of the collar. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just fold it in. Okay, I'll fold it in. First I'm going to fold in the rough edge. Make sure the rough edge is inside. Fold in the edge of your collar at the midpoint so that the the notches at the midpoint will match. Then you just start from here. Okay, this open part, just fold it in like this, just a little, 1/4 inch, and then you just sew on top. Okay, just start sewing. You can go ahead and fold and then you pin so that it's going to be easier for you if you're a beginner. Make sure that as you're folding in, you're just pushing the rough edges inside. Just fold, 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 and sew until you get to the other side. Okay, so I'll do just that and then I'll be back. Now I've done that, and that is all right for fixing the collar. I'll go ahead and iron it, and yeah, that is basically how to pipe the collar and the lapel area of your cam collar shirt. And then I'm also pipe the sleeve of yeah, I'll pipe the sleeve as well. So after ironing, this is what I would have. A cam collar is ready, so I'll go ahead and now attach my buttons wherever I want it, depending on how deep you want it. Just attach your buttons and then finish up with your shirt. So that is all, guys. So the next is the sleeve. So the sleeve is basically just you cut out your normal basic sleeve and then a band for it. This is my basic sleeve and this is my band. So just open up my sleeve and then just get my bias and just do the same piping like I did the shirt and the collar. So you just place it 1/4 inch for the edge, and then you sew the middle of the bias tape. Okay, and once you do that, you will now fold your band into two, and then you just follow the same line and join both of them, and this is what you'd have. Okay, I've done just that, and then this is what I have. So I'm going to top stitch on this seam at the back so that the seam stays in place and my piping is facing upward. Okay, so just pipe it to hold the seam. Pipe it just very close to very close to your piping, just like that. And that's basically it for this tutorial, guys. I hope it was well explained and you found it useful. Please hit on the like button and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and see you in my next one.